I only had one more slide to go on avoidant personality disorder, and I did not realize that, or I would have spent the extra little bit of time going over it. So I'm going to review it now. Okay. So the causes of avoidant PD may be linked to schizophrenia. The cause occurs more often in relatives of people who suffer from schizophrenia. So experiences of early rejection, treatments similar to social phobia. Focus is on social skills, entering anxiety provoking situations. And you can do this mentally, like I said, imaginary. You'll sit there and say, okay, imagine your worst fear coming true. And it may be something like, if I was, speaking in front of 5,000 people and I embarrassed myself and I stumbled over my words. Okay, so put them into that perspective. Have them imagine that. Have them realistically understand what is the consequence? How is that going to negatively affect your life? Is it going to be as bad as you think, or are you catastrophizing things? And so that helps put things into perspective, and it brings down their anxiety that they had built up. And, realizing it in a different perspective is very beneficial to a client. All right. Let's see. Okay. So the treatment is similar to social phobia. Uh, focuses on social skills, entering anxiety provoking situations, and good relationship with the therapist. We know that, right? That is with every single situation, every single disorder. It's always very important. It's the most important thing to have a good therapeutic alliance with your client. All right. So next we go into dependent personality disorder. All right. So this is cluster C, dependent personality disorder. Reliance on others to make major and minor life decisions, right? Unreasonable fear of abandonment, clingy, submissive in interpersonal relationships. This kind of speaks for itself, right? You're dependent. You're dependent on another person or on people in general. Okay. So I will read, through um, the criteria for this as well. All right. So according to the DSM-5, the criteria for dependent personality disorder: a pervasive and excessive need to be taken care of that leads to submissive and clinging behavior and fears of separation, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the following criteria. So, out of these 8, you need 5 or more to be categorized and qualify for a disorder, a dependent personality disorder. Okay, so 1 has difficulty making everyday decisions without an excessive amount of advice and reassurance from others, um, such as what to wear in what to wear to work. Should I wear this? Should I wear that? I'm not quite sure. Do I look good in this? So you need that advice. Should I take the car? Should I take the truck? Should I feed the dog now or feed him later? Like, these are, little everyday things. Someone who's dependent needs reassurance constantly. Okay, so 2 needs others to assume responsibility for most major areas of his or her life. So they don't trust themselves to be responsible for things, and they need someone else to take over the responsibility. 3 has difficulty expressing disagreement with others because of fear of loss of support or approval. So even if they do not agree with someone, they won't, they have a hard time stressing anything that opens them up to, be abandoned, because they feel like, if I express myself, I'm going to make that other person angry, and then I'm going to lose their friendship or relationship, or however they're connected. So they fear that. 4 has difficulty initiating projects or doing things on his or her own because of a lack of self-confidence in judgment or abilities rather than a lack of motivation. So it's not that they're lazy or they're not motivated. They are. They just lack the confidence needed to follow through. They don't feel competent, right? So 5 goes to excessive lengths to obtain nurturance and support from others. Okay, to the point of volunteering to do things that are unpleasant. So just to please others, to make others happy, they will go above and beyond, right? They will satisfy someone else and be dissatisfied themselves in the process just to please others. 6, feels uncomfortable or helpless when alone because of exaggerated fears of being unable to care for him or herself. So, that speaks for itself too. So you're not independent. You're very dependent on someone. You need them there at all times, because if you're alone, who knows what will happen? And you are not confident and capable to take care of yourself. That's what they feel anyway, right? So they need someone there. They need someone by their side, holding their hand and guiding them through every aspect of their life, because they feel, too alone. If they're alone, they don't feel confident in themselves and their abilities. And these are things that are just small issues in life, not really a major decision or situations. These are not very significant, but they see them as such, right? Everything is very big to them because they feel they are incapable themselves. Okay. 7, urgently seeks another relationship as a source of care and support when a close relationship ends. So these are the type people that when you break up with one person, you're right into another relationship because you cannot be alone. So you always need that other, people will stay in a relationship, even if they know it's ending, they'll stay there until they can find another relationship to get in because they don't want to be alone. Okay, and 8 is unrealistically preoccupied with fears of being left to take care of him or herself. So you're preoccupied with fears of being left to take care of yourself. So not only, when you're left in these situations do you fear it, but you're preoccupied with the thought alone of being left to care for yourself. So these are issues. Yeah, and that's that. Right. So, next. Okay. So the causes of dependent personality disorder not well understood due to lack of research, as with most PDs. Okay. Linked to early disruptions in learning independence. So they feel that it's linked to, not learning early on how to be independent, how to do things for yourself. Treatment options, research on treatment efficacy is lacking. So there's not a lot of research on how effective the treatments are. Therapy typically progresses gradually due to lack of independence. So it's hard to have a client progress and move forward quickly, right? Because they're always dependent on someone else or something else. Treatment targets include skills that foster confidence and independence. So helping a client understand that they are capable and able to do these things, but their ability and their confidence are two different things. So you have to help them understand that they absolutely have the qualifications to do many of these things that they fear, and that there is no rational reason that they should believe they can't do these things that they worry about, right? So helping them to understand that and then helping them to follow through with these things is very beneficial, and that can change them. But once again, they have to be in treatment and stay in treatment and learn to do that on their own independently, right? They don't want to have somebody come into therapy with them every time. No. So they have to learn to take some steps on their own and progress from there. All right. Okay. So, cluster C, obsessive-compulsive personality disorder. Like I said earlier, this is not the same obsessive-compulsive disorder that we learned about a few weeks ago. So, it's often, confused with that, but it is not the same. The two are very different. So, OCD is characterized, right, by intrusive. Now, the OCD we learned about, not the personality disorder, just the obsessive compulsive disorder, is characterized by intrusive, unwanted thoughts, causing anxiety, like, doubting, and you're worried about contamination, washing your hands all the time. So, and repetitive behaviors are mental acts designed to neutralize the obsessions. So, when you are obsessed with contamination, you constantly wash your hands, right? And you do that in order to neutralize that obsession, right? To get rid of it. So, obsessive compulsive personality disorder refers to a pervasive need to do things in a certain way, but not ritualized, right? So it's not so much to do it in order to rid the anxiety and the thoughts. It's driven by rigidity rather than like anxiety, right? So things have to be perfect. Like you need things a certain way. It's not so much that there's a ritual, like you have to wash your hands every time you touch this, or it's just in general. An overall example is just you need things in order, not necessarily a specific thing all the time, but just in general, right? So it's driven by rigidity rather than anxiety. All right. I do not have that. Oh, there we go. Okay. So the criteria, I'm going to go through this with you. Obsessive-compulsive personality disorder, a pervasive pattern of preoccupation with orderliness, perfectionism, and mental and interpersonal control at the expense of flexibility, openness, and efficiency, beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 4 or more of the following criteria. So, 4 or more of the 8. 1 is preoccupied with details, rules, lists, order, organization, schedules, to the extent that the major point of the activity is lost. So, you may work on a paper, just for instance, somebody that, really spends a lot of time on an assignment, where you spend so much time on the little details that you don't even finish it on time, or that you're not able to hand it in, or that you lose points because it's not handed in on time, and it defeats the purpose of being, particular. So, you're not flexible. You have to learn to adapt and be able to progress and finish things, but also you're trying to maintain somewhat of an organized way of working, right? But not so much that you lose the whole perspective of what you're doing to begin with. So that's what they're saying. Preoccupied with details and rules and organization, being organized, but you lose the major point of the activity to begin with. All right, so 2 shows perfectionism that interferes with task completion, like I just said, not following through, because you're more worried about the little details. Okay, and so, yeah. So 3 is excessively devoted to work and productivity to the exclusion of leisurely activities and friendships. So not accounted for by, obvious economic necessity, but, not because you need to work, but because you work, regardless of if you have to or not, or, but you're constantly preoccupied with working, and so much so that it interferes with your personal life. 4 is overly conscious of and you're inflexible about, morality and ethical issues. 5 is unable to discard worn out clothes, things that are not worth a lot. Someone with OCPD has a difficult time, parting with these items. Okay, so even when they have no sentimental value, kind of like what we learned about hoarding. Not as dramatic, I guess, but it's the same type of thing. You hold on to things that really have no meaning, and that are not necessary. So, okay, 6 is reluctant to delegate tasks to work with others, because you're afraid that they're not going to do things the way you want them, right? Some people might say that's a control freak, but you don't want to delegate tasks because you don't think that they're going to get done properly or the way you would structure and have them organized to be done. 7 adopts a misery spending style toward both self and others. So, Oh, aha! I'm just reading this as I realized I didn't know it said that. It said the same thing as hoarding. Yeah. So money is viewed as something to be hoarded for future catastrophes. So this is different than hoarding, but so you stop people from spending money in a comfortable manner, right? And you view things as, no, don't spend on that because we need to save in case we need to save just in case. I mean, it's good to be responsible in that way where you save money because you may need it, but not to the point where it restricts your everyday living when it's not necessary, right? It's like you're over planning. So that's what that means. All right. And 8 shows rigidity and stubbornness. So, even though I'm going to use the assignment thing just because that's in my head for some reason. But if you're working in a project, and even though it's not helping you to perfect everything, in fact, it's, hindering your progress, and you're being stubborn anyway, and you're rigid, and you're not flexible into saying, okay, I'm just going to leave this alone and get back to it if I have time. If I don't, that's fine. So, right, that's what that means. So being stubborn. And I think, yeah, that's it for the. All right. So next, okay, causes. Causes are not well known. Gee, surprise, surprise, what personality disorders? Weak genetic contribution. Treatment, little data on treatment. Okay. Addresses fears related to the need for orderliness. We know that. The target is rumination, procrastination, and feelings of inadequacy. So there is still much to learn about OCD, but just keep in mind that obsessive-compulsive personality disorder is different from obsessive-compulsive disorder, right? So we just learned about that. All right, summary of personality disorders. Long-standing patterns of behavior begin early in development and run a chronic course, right? They go and go and go. They're continuous. They last a lifetime if untreated. Disagreement exists over how to categorize personality disorders. like I said before, we have that categorical and we have dimensional. So, or some combination of both. They don't know what the best way to go about it is. Should we just use categories? Should we just use dimensions? Should we mix both of them? Okay, so for most, little is known about any of the causes or the treatment for personality disorders. That's why I always stress in class and stuff to, use your own judgment on things. Make educated guesses. Learn as much as you can about things. Use your common sense. Do what you feel is most appropriate. Because many of these things do not, obviously, as we can see, we don't know the causes. We don't know the treatments. There's a lot lacking. And I really hope many people are interested in doing research on this because it would be very helpful to psychology at large to do that. All right. So that's it. We're done here. And I'm going to continue doing another, it probably won't be until like the middle of the week or later. Yeah, probably more in the middle of next week. I'm going to post another probably on the next, no. Forget I just said that because I want to go over some things in class. If I do post another PowerPoint presentation or online lecture, I will let you know. I will send an email to prepare you, and I will go through the assignments in class. All right? Good luck, you all, and I'll see you on not this Thursday, but the following. All right, bye.